do we see? Okay. I've had a difficult night. The night brought the light. I have understood a lot recently, and I will probably say this in most of my videos. I do not intend to make a joke about I would prefer not to. This is just the way I was dressed. I'm in a positive mood because I encounter negativity, which was just the reflection of myself. But I will make a brief lecture about ethics. And yeah, so I understood recently that I keep making videos, hundreds of hours of videos, hundreds of videos on various channels, and I have been very frustrated because I have no quantitative success whatsoever. But I've understood why. It's because I fail to understand my own teachings, namely that the singular is connected with the universal. So I believe that my singular self was kind of irrelevant in a way, and that was completely negative, but actually it's partly true, but not completely, because it contains the determination of God and whatever. I made a video, Night Thoughts, whatever. But what I've understood recently is that I have to solve problems on all levels, and I just read my own, it happened in the past few weeks, I read my own ethical standards, one might say, and I realized that the reason why no one watches my videos is because I myself do not watch my own videos. And so I have decided to start following some of my own moral behavior and ethical standards, while knowing that I am a contradictory being. I would prefer not to. That's a joke. And yeah, so I understood that now I grant myself the right to follow, how should I explain it? To take care of my singular self, which doesn't mean the way I understand this is that I will work on my singular self without feeling guilty, which for me means I will clean my room, because by working I bring disorder. This is connected to physics. Work brings about a little bit of chaos in an ordered environment by the release of energy when I work. So I will, as long as I have to, as long as I can, I will start each day. I will dedicate a certain amount of time to cleaning my room, and I don't expect anyone else to do this, but that's what I do. As long as I can peacefully go out and buy groceries, I will do this. I will not in a panic mood, that's the end of the world, let's all go to the grocery. No, because it's more complex than that. So as long as I can, each day I take a few dozens of minutes to go out, buy groceries. And what I buy for myself, I buy a little bit of 3, 4, 5 articles, and because I have an excess of money, and because I think that this is good in a time of difficult economic conditions, I distribute my money. I don't expect others to do this as well. I just explain to myself, because I don't trust the banking system. Or maybe I do. No, but because I have a problem with the banking system, which is a reflection of my own problem, but I just use the money that I have in excess on my bank account to transform this into useful articles and pieces of groceries and hygiene, etc. And I distribute this to others who need them. I will not force gifts onto others, because I've understood that when that's a psychological determination, when people receive gifts, sometimes they can feel embarrassed because they feel that they have to repay. So offering a gift to a person who it's in a way of enslaving the person unconsciously, although it comes from a good intention, unconsciously, or the other can unconsciously receive this as some sort of a bondage. So I will give my money anonymously, not my money, because with money you can buy negative things, but to those in need. And yeah, I don't expect others to do this, but that's how I do, because I realize that if I do not work on myself on my singular level, I cannot expect others to do it as well. So I start an inner revolution in my psyche, in my immediate environment, in my empirical country, and eventually, I have not lost sight of the purpose, in America. I'm starting to become a little bit more positive, but I'm not completely positive either. Namely, there will be a revolution in America as long as I exist, I guess. But don't worry, everything's gonna be alright. Bibi Reksha, I'm a mess. That's a way of transcending the irrational aspect. So yeah, about America. I promote these books, as long as I have to. Real Education by Charles Murray. I will, the video will last not more than 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So I will make shorter videos, because I understand psychologically here. Psychology is a determination of spirit. Measure is a determination of being, and I suffer from a problem of a lack of measure. I am excessive. For the good, maybe I'm a little bit excessive sometimes, and I love, but actually this is what I suffer from on an empirical level and on a universal level. And I try to find a proper balance. So the first moment, here we have self-help and therapy. This is connected to Spinoza. Spinoza maybe has to be transcended, but Spinoza is a great way to first to understand one's own determinism. Why do I function the way I do? And hopefully, maybe when I understand the process, I cannot avoid the consequences or I cannot help but fall back again eventually, but it can help to understand how I function and how others function, to get liberated. So I know that I suffer from a lack of an excess of measure. I am excessive sometimes. So yeah, what was I talking about? Gifts and whatever, money, and education, yeah. So I promote these books. Dumbing Us Down, Real Education by Charles Murray. These are American authors. The School Revolution by Ron Paul. And what did I intend to do? So yeah, I will make shorter videos, and just to illustrate the UPS, I've understood this recently. There are the same books in France, the Factory of the Idiot and The Teaching of Ignorance, because these are singular books. The books by Ron Paul, Charles Murray, John Taylor Gatto, and Brigelli and Michel, these are singular books about a particular topic, the educational system and the failures of the educational system, and the universal could be Western societies. And or variously the singular would be these books, the particular could be Western societies, and the universal would be the educational system, and then we would have other educational system in other parts of the world, but it's a phenomenon, that which is made manifest, that which has a cause, which is predominant in the Western world, namely there is really a serious problem with the educational system, and the way to solve this is not, I don't expect others to solve the problem, but it's just to understand the causes. I know the causes, they are manifold and etc., but to offer a solution, and as long as I can, I will produce videos to at least provide the context for whatever people talk about. This is really the formal aspect, to recontextualize any topic, and I have a more thorough view on other table boards, but that's not the purpose. I will not talk about the educational system, but simply the way I solve this problem is that I work most of the day. Here it's not really work in a sense that it's an improvised lecture on ethics, but it's also partly part of education, self-education. I work all day to produce intellectual content, which I call education, because one of the problems with the educational system is the complete lack of global view, not globalist, but global view, the broad picture. And yeah, that's what I do. That's how I solve the problem. Bullshit jobs. Most jobs in Western developed economies are useless. They are a waste of time for those who work these jobs, and they are parasitical for the whole of society because it has to be financed by taxes, which is a burden on the taxpayer. It's compulsory. It brings about economic inefficiencies, tyrannical governments, manipulation, etc., etc. I could make a great lecture on how to. Actually, I won't, because here I will improvise slightly. I will just pick a book from my library. I don't have to speak the problem of taxation, etc., etc., because Mr. Yeah, I will clean my room once I have made this video, precisely because it will enable to find the books more efficiently. So it will be a good investment. I will spend a few hours cleaning my room so that I will become more efficient. But the problem with taxation, regulation, bureaucracy and socialism, Hayek wrote about this. And Philippe Nemo, a French author inspired by Hayek and Mises, wrote about the philosophy of taxation to try to find a proper balance and how an excess of taxes can bring about political, social and economic consequences which are negative. Charles Murray, what I call American Common Sense, a plan to replace the welfare state. I just promote the books. I do not give a lecture on why the welfare state turns people into dependent, a kind of idiot, and has negative consequence upon the genetic quality of the population. That's the truth. Yeah. The bureaucracy, that's a right-wing criticism from Mises of the bureaucracy. So what do I do to abolish the bureaucracy? Well, I quit many months ago my job as a bureaucrat, and when I work daily, it was a good idea. I wouldn't say I would not prefer to. Do not misinterpret the writing on the t-shirt. But it was an interesting experience because it enables to grow in more wisdom, because I was an accountant and it teaches that things have to be balanced in order to turn a profit. That's the principle that we find in chemistry, in electricity, in psychology, in politics, art, classical art, Greek art. It's the proper balance, the proper measure. That's Western culture. I will find I promote art as long as I can. Yeah. This is art. very talented, these ancient Greeks. The modern Greeks, they have become a little bit decadent. What is the reason? Well, that's a long story. Maybe for another day. Yeah. So that's what I do to. Yeah. What about the bureaucracy? My job, when I understood this, when I just comment Hegel, the writings of Hegel, or just comment my own documents in a boring way, it's kind of a bureaucratic job because it's too complex, it's too boring, people are not interested. I will use these documents, so maybe as a formal structure, and I will keep improving my own documents, but I will reduce the bureaucratic aspect of my life, and I will work differently by maybe going outside and helping the homeless, yeah, by giving them work, not by giving them a handout, but a hand. And actually both, I do not expect anyone to do this, but I set myself a standard when I encounter a homeless person, a beggar. I will give him money to work for himself and for others. If he accepts, that's good. Not money precisely, tickets, not from the state, from my own money to work and to do something productive, because I don't like to see beggars. It's not that I do not accept the reflection of myself, it's simply that I consider this as a failure, not a moral failure from the part of the beggar, because he is determined by the process of society, but it's a failure from the society which tolerates beggars. And one way of solving the problem, the balanced way, is to give them work to do, meaningful, useful work for the good of society, where they can feel useful, the rest of society can feel useful, but not financed on the taxpayers' money, because this brings about the negative consequences of the welfare state. So the leftist solution to the problem of homeless people and beggars is more taxes, which bring about more economic disruption. The right-wing solution, remove the beggars in one way or another, or remove the society which produced the beggars by a political revolution. That's the right-wing German solution. And the middle, between the left and the right, is to solve the problem on a singular level, to try to. That's what I will do as long as I can, or as long as I have to, or whatever. So, yeah, about ethics. So this is the kind of ethical behavior. I do not expect others to follow these, because I'm not a good person. I'm in a positive mood, but I'm not good. Not completely bad either. That's the fun of me. Yeah, and another ethical truth that I will follow is simply I publish links to my other channels in my videos, if I consciously think about doing this, my address, links to videos that I encourage people to watch, either my own videos or other videos. And also, an ethical standard. I say we live in an age where the whole of world knowledge is made available, but I cannot expect others to do this if I do not do this myself, so I will grant myself, as long as I can, a few hours each day. That's what I already do for listening to lectures on the cosmos, and I will try to balance between studying logic with my own intellect, maybe using books, studying nature, mechanics, physics, chemistry, biology, a little bit, and the realm of spirit. So I grant myself the right to read a good book, not for the sake of just enjoyment, but for the purpose of using the information gathered eventually in my next videos, as long as I publish videos. Yeah, and my working standards, it's just my way of doing this. I want to work as hard as I can, but not to the point of exhaustion, not as long as I don't have to, because if I do not sleep at least 6 or 7 hours per night, I really become negative. I make negative decisions. Well, even if I sleep well, I also make negative decisions, but I grant myself the right to sleep sufficiently enough to recover my chemical balance within my brain, and I encourage others to do so. Maybe I won't be able to, or whatever, but that's what I do. And also, I reflect back upon my... so I grant myself the right to read good books, quit stupid jobs, work hard, try to solve problems on all levels, but not in a anxious way, because I will encounter anxiety again. I have many times, but I will try to be more indifferent to the torment of the divine condition, not the human condition. Yes, the human condition. Yeah, what else can I say? I watch some of my videos also while working or while resting, etc. And I try to speak the truth, but this is one of my contradictions, because it's always evolving and I have inner contradictions in me, moral conflicts. And I do not expect others to help me. I have to help myself in a way. And yeah, and also I will not edit my video except if I have really to incorporate, but I will just publish the videos without too much editing or without editing at all, because I cannot anticipate the consequences of what I say, who hears what, when. And also a thing which I find annoying, what I have found annoying in many YouTubers, it will be 25 minutes, is that they do not provide a context for whatever they talk about. So my way of solving the problem, instead of being angry or mad at others, this is my very simplified view of the totality of being in the process of becoming. The three triangles, these are logic, nature, spirit, the intellect or the mind of God, the physical world, and the consciousness of man. They are all interconnected. This is really the most simplified view of the whole of being as I envision this. So whatever I talk about, this enables to recontextualize. And this is a pagan symbol, a European pagan symbol, but it's also the symbol, it can be interpreted as the symbol of the Christian Trinity, not officially, but this is what it represents. So this is a European version of Christianity. This is my religion. Yeah. And now I will use the 2 remaining minutes, not to read the book, but just to comment this book by Charles Murray. What he says, the problem with America's educational system, ability varies between children. Children differ in their ability to learn, but America's educational system ignores this, as well as all the educational systems of all Western world. They ignore the diversity. This is another book by Charles Murray, inherent in human beings. So if they expect equal results with unequal distribution of talent, character, competence, and ability, it's not going to work. Half of the children are below average. That's the very definition of an average. Half are below the median standard. Too many people are going to college, which brings problems of debt, the hookup culture, wasting time, brainwashing people with ideology. Then they are debt slaves for the rest of their life. They have to pay debt for an education which does not provide any job opportunity, just the ability to, yeah. And America's future depends on how we educate the academically gifted. So that's kind of an aristocratic view. It shouldn't be equality for all, but good education for the best in terms of intellect, potential, character, etc. And those who do not have the cognitive potential, it doesn't mean that they are completely useless, but eventually they have to be helped, or a solution has to be found, the most balanced solution. Yeah, and that's what I could say in 25 minutes.